Hey guys, it's Celine. It's Thursday, 23rd, yes, of December, just before Christmas. And rather desperately want to do a witchy check-in or, some kind of a slightly more extended a vlog about things that are going on for me in the context of Tummo or in other types of context. I also know that this is probably, okay, I still have tomorrow. I might still do tomorrow if I manage to get my act together today, That's a possibility, but I have a Christmas holiday coming up. My husband will be around the house, and as normal in this household, I tend to do a lot less vlogging unless we are, for example, out in the forest together. Then I can have like a little, like a check-in or a little chat or something, which I have done in years before. But really, it is one of the last two opportunities that I have until, a ways into January, at least, for me to sort of have you be there for me to get my thoughts organized. And there will be benefit if I get that done. If I manage to, do that, I will start on my holiday with my husband better, in a better mode, if I have it sort of each in systematic, some kind of a, level of understanding of things as they are going on. I think it's more difficult now than it has ever been for me. Which is, because I tended to be, I think, one very obvious or easy way to put it is that I've always been very much a reductionist type person. I will go, because I'm lazy, I will go to a summary of a situation, nuts and bolts, give me the essentials here. And don't let's get all excited and all worked up about, for 3 hours worth about all sorts of details. There can be lots of fun in the details, So, yeah, but this is really a character trait that I have or have had very much in my life, where I think there was also a great deal of a necessity for me. Like I needed to be this reductionist, if that's what you want to call it, kind of a person, where life was complex often and hard to keep track of different things going on at the same time. I think that's why I tend to be this way, normally, originally, from the past outward, so there. At this point, I find specifically, and that's the main thing that I want to sort of also mention at this point specifically, is that it's really weird, but there's things in my whole thought process that are being rewritten now. And I believe that it is like one half of it is my Tummo practice that is becoming implicated, not even. That is participating, yes, thank you, in here, in everything in my actual brain, inside my skull, more and more. I can sort of feel it, that there's been a sort of an evolution all through 2021, where the energy, the vibration of the Tummo has become deeper and more complex. And so the work it does inside me, in my body, and now also in my mind, apparently, and certainly also in my emotional life over the past months, has been deeper and more. It involves more. There's more going on. So keeping track of that, that's why I'm also here, because I cannot even journal this stuff, what's going on at the moment. I don't really know enough yet about the nuts and bolts. There you have it again. It's just that I keep noticing patterns, okay? I keep having the same kinds of experiences, in particular in the middle of the night. And these experiences that I will hopefully get to in a bit, they are things I don't look for. A big part of them is also in dreams, for example. I have really huge, intense dreams about nothing very much at all, but it's very high color and very big and busy and stuff. And the other half is waking experience where there's all sorts of impossible to describe weird experiences going on, which I'm not used to. I'm used to having to drag myself into any kind of a more, I don't know, third eye kind of a vibrational kind of experience. I have to work for that. That's my normal situation, or has been always. Where I came from, in my personal past, I had a life where my emotional life was more or less completely blocked up, and I very much worked along rigid, protocols. I always did things in the same ways, really, is what I feel now, looking back, is that's what I get, compared to 20 years ago. God, yes. So, it's just, it's kind of overwhelming where things are at the moment. And a lot of it feels really good. I'm not threatened. I'm not confronted by powers in the night or forces or things like that I would consider dangerous or threatening or scary even. It's not that. It's just that I can feel myself changing. It's like my whole programming. So what I'm saying or trying to say here is that half of this is Tummo, and I am kind of suspecting, is that a word? Yes. That the other half applies to everybody else as well. So people who don't do Tummo. Okay? So I'm like in a sort of an extra situation, maybe on top of everybody else's situation that I am also in, where because of the Tummo, I get a different version of this process. I don't know what it is. So, in terms of what I will have to start journaling in particular, specifically about the perception weirdness, the kind of a trippiness that has occurred where I have not used weed, I have not used mushrooms, I have not eaten or drunk or smoked anything, I have not taken any meds either, and I can see that it's like the more and more the more I look at it, what used to be my personal consensus reality, okay, with the reductionism and all the rest of it, and the go-getter, ambition driven kind of person that I also am, on top of the other parts of things, and other emotions, and being generally very reactive and all that type of stuff. It's more and more, it is like my normal MO, my normal consensus reality is like a thin veneer. I've read this elsewhere. People say this when they take mushrooms, okay? That they suddenly sort of plunge through the veneer or sink through it or explode upward into a reality that is multiple dimensional. And if I say it like that, it's okay. It feels kind of good to be saying it because I'm finally putting this into words. But you don't know how to use this. You have no clue. I have no clue how to use this, how to... I still have to wait more time for more things to develop, for more things to become possible. My sweater is complete. This is a huge sweater, you guys. I made this so that I could fit 3 people in here. So that's why it gets to sit over here or over there. It's a massive sweater. Yeah. So Um, yeah, I kind of actually feels like more of my brain, and so partly, yeah, to a large extent, I think because of Tummo, more of my brain is becoming involved in things that do not fit the consensus reality. So I go, okay, so am I supposed to do anything about that? Not at the moment. Am I supposed to use it or express it in any way which would make sense for me? Also, consensus again, it's consensus for me to express those types of things. If I need to make, drawings or what, I'm too tired. I can barely, I can apparently talk about this stuff a bit so as to let you guys know that I'm still alive and it's okay, really, because I feel good otherwise. Other than having often new energies being accessed in heart and higher heart area, thymus gland, throat area, and the middle of the brain, like so. Often you can feel that. It feels mainly with Tummo like some kind of pressure. It's this heat and pressure at the same time. And I can sort of tell, especially in my right eye here, which is the reason I wear my glasses, there's resistance there. It will take months still before I can sort of see benefit literally with my eyes from the Tummo yet. I think it may take a while. But in the meantime, so you have to make sure you don't overdo it with this kind of thing. That's certainly the case with Tummo. You also want to keep the train rolling. You want to, once the energy is there, you want to make use of it. You have to also monitor and listen very carefully inside your body where the energy is willing to go, and upward is in general better and it will benefit you in the end. And sometimes it takes a bit of pushing and you have to sort of focus really hard and make sure that it actually happens. And then again, there's also lots and lots of times where the Shakti, the Tummo energy itself, decides what needs doing one day, and it's never twice in a 2 days the same in a row. Never. It's always different. It's always there's always surprises, and there's always like, okay, so apparently I have this huge issue with, for example, in the recent couple of days, my husband has been coming home from work a couple of times. He's nearly really close to being overworked. And so I was a bit worried about him. And it turns out that there's heart energy here that then immediately goes into some kind of an overdrive mode still. And I only really feel it and notice it when I get back into my Tummo practice, and I suddenly feel that there's like this size of a, I don't know, let's say a big marble or a walnut or something, of an area in there that hurts. I wasn't aware of it before going into practice. And then bringing up the Tummo, it just generally means, sort of funneling a whole lot of Tummo in there. And then in, say, 5 or 10 minutes or so, I feel a whole lot better. And it sort of regenerates in there from a situation, which doesn't take away necessarily the worry or the fact that I have to still, or that I have to consider that this makes me feel kind of insecure in a way. I think now that I'm saying this and speaking about this in particular, I believe that I have an issue with connecting to people. I am not surprised. I mean, it makes perfect sense, okay? And my husband is the one person that I am really closely and really personally connected to. And still, there are moments where we feel, both of us, because he, he agrees with this himself if I ask him, like we are still total strangers to each other. because we are very different people, very different in temperament, very different in personality and in preferences and in lots of things. So it's there's a sort of a vibrational sense in my heart area, in that area that starts then to have a sort of a complete energy deficiency problem at that moment. It's like there's a teeny tiny black hole that absorbs all the energy until I bring the actual Tummo back in. And then I have to, of course, make sure that my husband's really okay and that he's coping, that he can do his things, and it's only another day and a half, or even just a whole day. From now, it's 2:45. By this time tomorrow, he'll be probably on his way back home. And he'll be free from work for 10 days or so. So that sounds really good. You'll be able to sleep in properly a bit, watch telly, watch a couple of silly movies and go for walks and just not have the worry and the responsibility and the load of all those things on him. I try to help him as best I can, but sometimes it's just not enough for him either. What strikes me is that we cannot really help each other. We can provide what we can, from a state of balance and inner strength and love and support and availability to the other person. We can provide up to a point. And then there's always the other guy having to do 60% for themselves. The other guy, MV, whoever that is, male, female. So just like he cannot be all things to me, I cannot be all things to him, even though it feels that way often. And we are very, very fond of each other, and we, we would like to be together much more than we are normally, which is the reason why I decided a very, very long time ago to accompany him on client runs as much as possible. If there's at all a chance for us to spend half a day together in the car, then I will do that, and I will happily sit in the car and wait for him, normally with a book or what. At the moment it's cold outside, so it's less comfortable. I went with him last Tuesday in the evening. He had to go to a client's for just a quick visit, and it is about half an hour's drive away from here. And he was going to sort of do it right after the office, so he'd have to postpone food, dinner for himself, and also for me, because I was going to wait for him anyway. And I said, of course, which is like the complete self-evident solution for me, is you just come home a bit earlier, we have dinner quickly together, do the dishes, and then we go off together, and I will, be with you. Because it's 2 hours worth anyway. An hour's back and forth driving in total, and an hour at the client's. So I wasn't going to sit that time out. If I had decided that I didn't want to come with him on his client runs, I am enabling the way he does his work the whole time. I know it. And sometimes it makes me really insecure if I had said, look, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to come with you for whole days and be on the road. And it's not a problem for me, really. It's just he benefits a great deal from the fact that I used to be a traveling salesperson myself, and that I love being on the road. It's not a problem. But there are times where I feel like, okay, so if I had decided I don't want to do this anymore, I don't know what would have happened. I really, really don't. And it would have been a one-way track to miserable loneliness for both of us, I think. So I don't really have much of a choice. And that I don't like that. Sometimes I really don't like it. Especially because what with him being in a bit of an overworked state, he's just had too many responsibilities and too many client files and too many also difficulties, clients having difficulties due to lockdown. for everybody who's in restaurant business or catering or what, they have to reorganize the whole Christmas thing is gone bust anyway. So the whole planning and everything is face down on the floor, in terms of Christmas and everything. So my husband needs to do a lot for those people, and it's just the atmosphere it used to be worse. So the previous couple of lockdowns were worse in this respect, but because partly a lot of financial help is being offered by the Dutch government, and my husband is one of the people who sort of bring the clients in contact with the help that they need. So that's actually a nice part of the job. But people would much rather be working, all of them. So there's a lot of frustration going on. It's unclear how long it is going to last for, and so on and so forth. So me too, I am over my Christmas holiday. We would always have gone out to a restaurant at least once. We would have gone see a movie in the theater outside the house, at least one time. There's a couple of other things we might have done or planned. And we might have gone to a museum and so on and so forth. Everything's just become impossible again. So I'm like, what can I think up that other than practice Tummo with my husband every day, which is probably, well, not every day. We will be doing some of that together because he's definitely into it. He's interested in sharing in my experiences. He can also tell each time that he has, some of this energy become aware, that he becomes aware of this energy for himself. He feels it's really good and he likes it. So, and I make sure that what he gets out of it is actually something he can use. So, but we are still very much in the lower belly, lower Dantian, first Dantian air part of the process with him. So I have no clue how far on we can get. I referred briefly in my yesterday's little vlog that I did out yonder by the stream, what it's like in how Tummo actually redistributes energy in other parts of your body, and how it makes you less afraid, less vulnerable in many ways. It opens you up emotionally, and it makes you less vulnerable, also in particular to imbalance inside yourself. So if you tend to get really upset, if your personality is fiery and you tend to get really worked up about things, and fear and anger and resentment and, heavy duty, those kinds of emotions are, if those things are really very much a part of your personality and part of your life, then Tummo is a good path for you. Because at first it will feel sometimes like it is blowing it up out of proportion, okay? This has been the case for me, where my defensiveness and my old anger issues and all of it, and fear also, which is completely and horribly unpleasant, all those things were blown up to complete form, to where normally I had some sense of keeping them down to like a quarter of the expression that they were wanting to have. Okay, they're getting the real shape. You get to real, at least yourself. Doesn't mean you have to go around shouting and throwing things. You get to feel the full extent of that type of emotion as well. But if you just continue on with your practice, then you will become immensely more strong in here as well, where the good stuff sits, okay? The love and the compassion and the courage and the belief in yourself and all those kinds of things will just develop as well. So then in the end, what you have is a sort of a balanced redistribution of your vitality. Everything will just come out the way it is normal for you to be and to have, you know, those kinds of feelings. So that's something I've wanted to say for quite a long time, that you really you have to be willing to face your worst in some ways, and then you learn to live with it. You learn that it really isn't the end of the world. And then again, it helps if you don't make it the end of the world. You shouldn't just let it all get completely out of hand, of course, and start throwing things, for example, which it just depends on what kind of a life you have. But I think if you're a really feisty personality like me, Tummo is going to be quite supportive, especially if there's disharmonies. Like, I always want to be expressive, but I am afraid of what people will think of me. So that's very common, of course. So there was that. So the whole psychedelic thing is very much the sort of weird ultra-dimensional kinds of perceptions that I keep having. Those occur in the nighttime, as if it has to be after 11 or something, where my rational mind is more or less shut off, and then I go into this all sorts of things start to happen and make themselves apparent, and I have no idea what's going on. One thing that I have felt specifically very clearly last night was, and that is one thing that I feel is happening for everybody at this moment, so whoever you are, it may be the same where you are, what I call the tribal chakra, the one of the set of subpersonal chakras underneath our feet inside the earth, seems to be changing. The tribal chakra has grown overnight, much lighter. It's still very much a tribal chakra. There's still lots and lots of energies of different people and stories in there and histories. But it seems to be more hopeful and more about strength and about... it's like a completely different mood. And I felt it for myself and for my husband as well at the same time. I immediately went over to him to see, because that's the kind of thing that I can do. If I just put my mind to it, I can sort of see the state of his tribal chakra, and I could sort of like a network of, fairy lights, these strings of little lights that we all put up or in the Christmas tree, like a network of those all around, underneath the surface of the earth, right there, beneath the people, as if there's a light has come on in our tribal chakras. So I've never seen this before, as far as I was concerned, up until yesterday. It was like, okay, so we have subpersonal chakras underneath us. And some of those, one of those is tribal in nature, in that it connects our incarnation in a body with all the other people, with our relatives and our parents and stuff like that. And then there's chakras below that level, that are personal to really who we really are, ourselves. Okay, so the self and the tribe. That has been the major breakthrough for me in my Tummo experience over the past months. Is when I got into that, it was like I had to evaluate and reassess my whole vibrational chakra makeup for myself. The way everything is got done, it all had to be rewritten in a way. So I felt really exhausted over the past couple of months, because that's just taken... I still have no clue where I'm going with this, because apparently there was a lot of work to be done on each level, belly, heart, head, everywhere, for where there were whole areas that had to do with my self vibration, that were just dark. And so each of those got energized, and it's just, it's very wobbly and very different. And it's like you've just grown little outbuildings everywhere. Is one way of putting it. It's just like little, apartment building coming out of my bloop. Talk about psychedelic. I'm not on meds. I don't do, this is just the MO of a slightly overworked Tummo practitioner who's no idea how to proceed from here, actually. Although no, talking about things always helps. I was thinking a lot and observing a lot around chakras in general. I've always, for example, just a thought here for you, felt that the navel area, the belly button area, should be a chakra by itself, and it never is. So as far as I'm concerned, it has just graduated to a chakra, kind of a status for me, where it is very different compared to numbers 2 and 3 that we know as 2 and 3, sacral and solar plexus chakras, of course. But it's a processing station. It was for 9 months, as you were in your mama's belly. It was the processing station where everything got filtered into you to build you up, to give you this body. So you can't tell me that there's no vibrational properties to that area that are specific for the belly button area. And so I was really very much thinking also of finding characteristics for the belly emotions, like fear and anger that, bother us a lot of the time, possessiveness, resentment, all those kinds of things. I was trying to find the original, let me say, the old origin form of those vibrations. So where possessiveness isn't really something that I would certainly identify with solar plexus level, okay? For me, that's where that would sit. But it has a positive origin. Each of those negatives has a positive origin state in the belly. That's what I'm confident about at the moment. And for the possessive, part of the solar plexus, it rules the world. I mean, everybody is about the money and the house and the cars, and it's always about competitiveness and all that kind of thing. But I think in its positive origin point is just the capacity to own something. And that's why I talked about the belly button area just now, where you claim energy and food originally for your body, for yourself, for your manifestation. That's just part of how this whole kit that we are living in is organized, okay, in my book. The sacral chakra, which sits beneath the belly button, is the first level, becoming aware of life as it is. So a great deal of that energy, of the sacral energy, is about enjoying life and about apprehending life, being, aware of the temperature change as I bring my fingers close to the candle flame, like so. Becoming aware of what the vibration inside the candle flame is actually doing, and it can sort of go in my hands like that. And my hands can tell me a whole lot more about the candle flame than I ever realized, because I wasn't watching that, I was doing something else. But so that's all very much sacral chakra. That's very much belly, lower belly areas, very positive. All of that is about enjoying life, apprehending life, engaging with life in a way, on an equal footing. Very much a childlike, before the age of 6, I think, kind of a state of things, very equal, very immediate, and so on. Then the belly button area would have to do with, okay, so now I need to take some things, and a lot of things actually, on a daily basis, 24/7, into myself. I need to make things, I need to claim things. And then up a bit to the solar plexus, I need to make things my own. I need to get them to sit where they're supposed to sit, inside me. So I am this huge creature with all these different needs, drinking water is all about all those things, for example, but it's also about emotional life, and it's also about what things are important to you in your life. And it becomes about possessiveness and defensiveness because things went wrong in the build-up. If things didn't go wrong in the build-up, you will be likely to be a lot less possessive and a lot less difficult to handle around those kinds of issues. And we'll just go about, off to off to work, whistling happily and merrily, and you're fine. But most of us, we encountered all sorts of, we grew up with competitiveness and defensiveness and, rancor and resentment and back and forth tug of war kinds of things going on the whole time. So I was thinking about emotions. Okay, so positive, that I 100% sure define as positive emotions, positive origins. And because I like to think of my belly as a positive organism, part of me, that is part of the larger organism, okay? I don't want to blame the belly for whatever it's doing. If it's doing something nasty or stupid, I can tell it to stop doing that, but I also have to understand how it came to this idea, how it came up with what it is doing. See, and there's reasons. I believe very much that there's always reasons for what you're doing, for how if you feel a certain way, there is a reason for it. So those were a couple of my thoughts. I have other chakra ideas were that I noticed that courage is very specific in like one teeny tiny little node here, and more is becoming clearer. And so where to own sits right here, to protect sits in here for me. The shoulders and the arms are for protecting. And to my, great surprise, actually, I find trust, the feeling of trust, to sit way down in the hip bones and even the legs. So I found that really striking, that a positive emotion like trust wouldn't sit in here. For me, it doesn't sit in here at all. There's loads of other good things that sit in here. Trust has to do, for me as a female, with my capacity to carry things, carry myself, carry life, carry other people, because I'm a female. So the carrying capacity is what creates trust, in a way. It creates a sense of it has to be okay enough, from one day to the next. Carrying implies time. And in that, as a sort of a alchemized result of the time of carrying, you get trust. Not confidence. Confidence is something else entirely. I think confidence sits like out here on the outside, and it's something I'm not worried about. Trust is self-trust. Okay? That's what that was about. So I'm trying to think. I think that was about it in terms of chakras. There's loads more. I still feel like we have, in fact, we don't have 7 chakras. We have more or less about 150 or so. They're all over, and each does something different, and there's always something going on. So as to Witchy Check-in, how long have I been in? 40 minutes. Yeah. So I've been, what with having no brain for myself other than to watch telly or watch YouTube videos, I've been watching a lot of train cabin, endless live streams or endless train tracks with snow in the winter. That's something I tend to watch nowadays. If I don't have the capability yet in the morning to start really listening to people's content or to, do anything I find otherwise interesting or engaging, I will just have a train on, which is kind of nice. I was also doing a lot of knitting. So in terms of check-in, this is my husband's, going to be my husband's sweater, like the one I'm wearing, except this one I've worn for 2 years, 2 whole winters now. And it's just a wintry home-like sweater because that's the best kind of knitting I can do. It has the Gemini symbol for his, that he wanted for his vanished twin karmic family karma history that he has, with a little pentagram sitting like so. I've just finished doing this in the middle part, and from now it will just be 2 more little white points on either side, and then the rest is just going to be color. This is hand spun wool, all of it, and it's fairly easy for me to do with a pattern like this. I've got a pattern that I made myself for the pattern right there, and I've done these. It's like a small square, what do you call those? I only have a French word for you now. The paper, the lines on the paper. Okay, they're a square, so you can count stitches very easily like that. Other than that, I find that I am in general enjoying a lot of my old stuff, and I want to go from here to, I have 2 more things that I want to show you. I dug up 2 old bags. This is an old bag that I made for myself, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, 5, 6, 7 years ago, a long time ago. It's just this is crochet, so not knitting, okay? And it has all sorts of bits of thread, bits of yarn in it, that I had like little bits of this with the rainbow floofies like that, and I just had a small piece of this left over that I put in. I had, like a couple of meters of this type and a couple of meters of this outside orange type over here, and so on and so forth. And I combined everything that I liked together in this little witchy pouch bag like so. And the other reason why I'm showing you this is the perfect size for me. I can actually strap this over over my head like this, and then beneath my big cape that you see me wearing outside all the time now. Nobody needs to see this, and I can have my like dirt bottles in there. For example, these 2 that I was carrying with me on my walk last time I went for a really long walk. I brought this. And I also have a large rose quartz, which is a great friend of mine. And this is a set of crystals that I actually vlogged, or I tried to vlog about this, and I ended up deleting my vlog again. It was a lengthy story. There was a lot of astrology in it. This is mainly, I have to take them out because they're really cool. I'll try and focus enough to get those out, because there's like a small, this is a red fossil red coral, and I just hope you can see it well enough. Let me see if I can go like this. You probably won't be able to see any more detail. Great stone in combination with the others that are here. I found this to be an extraordinary collection, and I'm certainly bringing this on my Christmas party where I have no idea what to go and talk to people about. An agate with a red center like that. This is like the friendly, grounding, sort of a positive thinking, simplifying, relax, it will be okay kind of a vibe. This agate. And this one is the same, but more stronger and more personal. So like you can have confidence in yourself kind of a vibe. I got these two and another one like this, same red agate, which has the same kind of a vibe. They're so powerful. At my last visit to my favorite crystal store, together with this beautiful little Carnelian Bowl that I felt completely smitten in love with. And this sits on my table right here with a couple of crystals in the top like so. And I can just, normally I just see them in passing. I don't really do that much with those. But this set, the set on the bowl is actually nearly the same as the set here, where on top of the red coral and the bigger of the agates, okay, I have a black obsidian, a garnet, and a desirite. The combination of these 5, I find, is a really gorgeous stacking of crystal energies that makes me feel really positive about all of my life. That's not bad. So this has been, actually, I nearly, again, forgotten about it. It's because of the bag that I wanted to show you, because you have occasionally, I have occasionally in Europe, in France or elsewhere, been in witchy shops where they sell bags like this. And I was kind of desperate for some retail therapy, and I was going on Etsy, to watch things or find decks or find whatever else have you. And I ended up, oh yeah, I remember now why I was on Etsy. I wanted a new handbag for myself because my old one was going to pieces. It was defragmenting all by itself. It was all bits and bobs, disintegrating. So I bought myself a new handbag. I ended up not taking one from Etsy because all of the handmade stuff is either I can also do this myself, case in point, or because I wanted something that would actually be, watertight for the winter and so on, and big enough that I can carry my journal and my tarot deck and a couple of other bits and pieces in there, So this I also crocheted for myself to contain the 2 crystals that aren't pendants by themselves. The other 3 are actually pendants. But this is an amazing, powerful combo of 5. I thought it was just too good not to share. So I have worn this with the 2 big cords like that. That's the other option, is to just go like this. And yes, it looks very Harry Potter and I love it, totally. So either they go in here and everything just sits under my armpit like that. I can always take, little writing bits if I think I need those. This isn't for tarot decks. This is just a vibration bag, a witchy bag for vibration goodness to bring along if you want it. For my Christmas do, it will be most likely for me to go like this, out of sight, out of mind, and they will still do the work for me. The other bag, the other really old, even older bag that I found again, is also crochet, like this. I'm advertising for self-learning crochet here. I think this one is as old as my relationship with my husband. Nearly, it will be over 30 years old. I made 2 of these at the time, and I have used one since forever, that as long as I can remember, for my sewing utensils and, just needles and bobbins and all that stuff. And I had, I think I had made this, one of the 2 bags I actually gave to my mum, but I got it back when she passed away, so in 95. So you can see that's like immensely long ago. I felt like they were pretty nice bags. They're really sturdy. They've got these like ornamental holes on the side, but that's kind of okay. It depends on what size stuff you have in there. It's actually very solid cotton thread also. So it's a kind of a waste to not use them, you know. The other one gets used for my sewing stuff in the back here in my cupboard. And this one I had a long time ago actually given this lining. I'm hoping that this comes across a bit. Normally the YouTube visual effect is off to the blue in my experience. It looks cooler than it really is. This is such a lovely rainbow kind of cotton fabric. It's really incredible. So it's got all the colors of the rainbow in there. And I had made this cord for it also a long time ago, but less than 30 years definitely, which is also crochet. And so there's a whole rainbow theme to this. What I wanted, why I brought the bag back out, is I wanted a bag for my Bertie tarot. So I did this I printed these out. There's the death card. It's a Marseille, actually an Italian style Marseille tarot deck for 90%. There's a couple of cards like this one, Queen of Pentacles. I made this last winter, this deck, printing them out. It's got this figure at the back that actually belongs with this deck, the Al Leone. It's a Bologna tarot, so it's a Tarot de Bologna. Let's just call it that. This is a Knight of Cups, and I nicked the images off of the British Museum collection website where they are at. Sorry. And I have felt immensely drawn to this deck. And right now, again, there's cards here that sort of make contact for me. And it's like it has more meaning than the same in a print. And not only because I did the whole, painting with around the edges with different types of paint and stuff. The colors on the cards, this is a temperance card right there, are actually the original, card colors as they are given. It isn't about the work that I put in. It's not about that. But I had made a box. Maybe some of you will actually remember seeing that. Here's another good one. The Sun card with two little kiddos with clothes on and no horse. So that's the Sun card. I can feel the different cards. It's like it has some kind of a very specific meaning for me, this deck. And it was sitting in a very narrow, very tight box where all the cards would fit in, in a row like that. You couldn't shuffle because it's the wrong size. You can shuffle like this with about half the deck, right? You can go like this and do a shuffle. So I was thinking of making a different bag for this deck and to just have, have them be in a better place to live, so that I could, get to use them a bit more, because I have hardly ever used this. Page of Bâton. So wands, right? The Ace of Swords. Typical Marseille. It really is very much Marseille. I will try to find for you, as I continue on chatting about this, the one of my favorites, very spotty, actually the Moon card, if you can make that out. It says La Lune at the bottom, which is why I call this a Marseille tarot, because it has French captions, even though it's an Italian deck. I'm trying to locate the Tower card, because that's actually one of those really different style. See, there he is. There's loads of, it's like 3 of these handfuls really put together. They're fairly thick because I glued them on cardboard and stuff, and so they're really very stiff cards. This is the Tower card, very traditional called Maison Dieu, House of God, which I always think is kind of striking. And what I did is I also put in the astrological references for each. Here we have the 9 of Pentacles with the Venus and Virgo penciled in at the top. That's something I've wanted for a very long time. So because I use those in my interpretation of the cards. So this is great fun, actually bringing the deck into a good place, like so. I can shuffle them around in here. They've got plenty of room. They could actually fit 2 of those decks in there. And we get a Queen of Swords as a draw for this reading. It seems like I actually managed to do this. To get my whole story kitted, glued together, and then pushed it into the internet. This one lives also in there. I shared this, I don't know, somewhere in the springtime, I think. This is a majors only kind of a deal of the Paris Tarot, Tarot de Paris, okay? So it has, again, quite different, strikingly different images. There's a couple more strange cards here that don't have any real relationship to the deck. It's something I did too because I enjoyed these images, and it's like each of those talks to me in a different way, and I have to work on this much more and still reconnect properly, because you can make it, but then I have to still connect with it. The last final item of today's and pertaining to this whole tarot business here is this thing. I needed a cloth to put my cards on, because of course you need a cloth, and I still had this piece of hand woven linen that has like these rainbowy spirals in it, and this I got 32 years ago somewhere. Never really used it. Washed it and ironed it a couple of times, but it will stay, you know, crinkly and stiff. However, if I just scrunch it up a bit and stick it in here, I'm sure I will be able to use it for these cards. And I look forward to sort of getting authentic. Everything I've done so far with tarot, thank God, has been more or less authentic. Yes, I do believe so. In that tarot is always authentic, right? It doesn't lie to you. You just have to pick it up and listen to it, really. But maybe this can help with the more psychedelic side of affairs. Wouldn't that be something? So I've been thinking along, you know, like spread creation for the psychedelic, where things are going in all sorts of different directions. So yeah, so actually putting on the crystals has helped. Talking to you has helped, like enumerating my things in a fixed order, because somehow in material life we have to do things in a certain order most of the time. And sometimes we really don't, and we might as well just start ahead and go ahead and figure it out as we plod along, you know. Plodding is certainly how I felt. But it doesn't mean that there aren't any results. It's just that with Tummo, you just have to wait for it and see what happens. So there. I'd nearly forgotten about my crystals, so yeah. So thank you once more for watching. I hope you have a really nice holiday season wherever you are. It'd be so funny to, you know, have Christmas trees in the blazing sunshine. I've certainly missed my sunshine. Then again, we've had the solstice. It's over and done with the solstice. And so all that we have to sort of expect to see what happens now is the Saturn-Uranus exact square that happens tomorrow over here where I am. And they've been squaring each other for a long time, and they're still, so it's very much astrologically a part of what I personally feel to be my process at the moment. And there you are. So yeah, thank you again. And it's okay. We're yeah, actually quite we can do this. I believe all of us, we can really, you know, make it happen. Only a lot of it happens in very different ways than we know of or that we expect. So that's factor in the unexpected and the unknown, okay, if we can. Thank you for watching, guys. Love you to pieces. See you next year, at least, at the latest, okay? And then we will see what happens. Bye for now. Thank you.